council with him, and now serving him as our mayor and within city council. And Ron has always had my admiration and respect, being on city council for all these years. And now that he's mayor, and his judgment calls and how he is leading our community through these difficult times, I think he's doing a tremendous job. It's tough. I think it's tough for any leader going through what we're going through, and helping make decisions to move our community forward. Anyway, we have today with us Mayor Ron Jones, also known as the local gas man. Right, he's worked for Ohio Gas for a number of years, retired here, that's many years ago.
3 years.
3 years, yeah, 3 years. So, and Menda's a retired school teacher here in town. Most of you know him, but please stand, or please welcome Mayor Ron Jones.
Thank you, Rotarians. And as I look around the room, I knew everybody but two, Michael and Brian back here. So, a lot of history as I look at. I used to come years ago and help with the Rotary, set up the tables. I was the custodian here, so thanks for welcoming me, Mike. Thanks. What?
I'm sorry, can you talk in the microphone?
Not really. Okay. Is that better? Can you hear now? Okay. Just to give you a little history before I get into the city things, how I came to Hicksville. 50 years ago, I was raised on a farm in Convoy, Van Wert County. And the church I went to was a Methodist church. And the pastor was Pastor Gene McCormick, who was the pastor here back in the late 60s. Well, there's this one lady or girl that had my eye on. And her mom was the choir director, so that's how I got singing. One way to get on the good side was to sing in the choir. Well, it worked. So back in 1970, I moved to Hicksville, raised my family, got married, raised my family, which consists of Melissa, who lives in Leo, Phil lives in Columbus, and then Katina lives in Cincinnati. And we have been blessed with 9 grandchildren. When I first came to town, I was employed, if anybody remembers the potato farm of Volkerts, potato farm. So the old timers, the Volkerts, worked there for about a year, and then a great friend of mine, Herbie Rep, hired me for Ohio Gas Company back in '71. So I was with them for 47 years, so I got a lot of admiration for Herbie for giving me a job, giving me a chance. So thank you, Herbie. So I retired 3 years ago in October, and I was elected in November to be your mayor, and thank you, after serving on village council for 20 years. So I see my job as the mayor to protect and serve the citizens, uphold the laws, and be a cheerleader for this community. And there's a lot to be cheering for this community. Some of my responsibilities are to preside over council meetings, but I have no vote unless there's a tie, and then I would break the tie. And it doesn't happen very often, maybe once or twice a year. I represent the community at special events, welcome new businesses, and other community activities. My goal is to visit each business and industry this coming year, but the pandemic has kind of slowed it down a little bit. So hopefully come this fall, I can get out to meet everybody. I conduct mayor's court, and the village, we take in decent money, but the advantage is our officers can have the court here instead of have to go to Defiance. Plus the people that get in trouble, they can do it here in Hicksville. So I do that twice a month. I attend lots of meetings. Some of the council meetings I attend, especially the finance, water and sewer, which Mike's the chairman. I'm doing a great job there. I'm also on the task force for the Defiance County Health Department, which just formed for this virus. And we were meeting once a day by virtual, and then went to twice a week, and now it's just once a week. Also a board member of the CIC, which is the Community Investment Corporation. This is economic development. That's a big part of our town. The city, we budget around $12,000 to help fund that. Member of the Mayor's Association of Ohio, and right now we're meeting once a week by virtual. Get a lot of information from other mayors, their ideas, and that really helps. While you're doing this pandemic, and it helps me through. I'm on the Defiance County Planning Commission, and this is for anyone in our community that needs a variance for any kind of zoning. I'm in constant contact with county, state, and federal elected officials. Emails a lot, and they come in my office quite a bit. The commissioners, they meet once a month, and I think it's the first Monday they meet, so I always attend that. Some upcoming projects in our community that would probably be of interest to you is the contract was just signed for the new water and sewer main replacement on West High Street and Chicago Avenue. And I'm guessing it's going to take about 3 months, I'm guessing. Are they going to keep the traffic flowing? Do you know, Mike?
I'm not sure. We haven't got that far within the project.
I'm hoping they keep the traffic pushing West High.
I know with a lot, that's heavy usage, so
yeah.
Hopefully they.
The water contract came in about $200,000. 48% of that was by grant, and thanks to our administrator, Kent Miller. He is great at doing that. If and when he retires, I would like to have him stay on just to help write grants. But anyway, he got that, half of that funded. Then the sewer project would be about $900,000. And we have enough money in the sewer budget. Of course, everybody knows our water and sewer rates are high, but you're getting some of the payback on that. And in 2022, we're planning to replace the water tower, the one that's uptown. Our plans are to put it up by the industrial park. So if everybody remembers in the last 3-4 weeks your pressure was low, we get the new water tower, we'll have the two at the park, and then so that should not happen. So I apologize, some things happened and it was a lot longer than we anticipated. One of the things our community needs, I feel, is more housing. And we've been working on that very hard. We purchased the Haver, behind Haver Drive. I think it was around 80 acres, so we purchased that for a well field. We needed more. The plans are to put 2 wells in, but there's plenty of room for that development on LaBar. I think there's 54 lots. So we'll probably put, and it's already plotted, ready to go, it's already annexed, but we need housing, so we're really going to push that. Next year, hopefully, it has to put out for bid. Some other things that we're going to come up with. Does anybody know about the Hoptoberfest? The big thing downtown. It was going to be October 3rd. Well, sadly, that got canceled because of the coronavirus. I was talking to Mark Young, and they were planning that there could be over 3,000 people here. So it was sadly announced that it's just too risky. And the Red Angel was also, Pizza was also going to participate in that. But so right now that's been canceled. They were going to put a tent, a huge tent, almost half the block on High Street. And there were going to be 22 breweries, 4 or 5 wineries, but they were expecting 2,000 to 3,000 people. So with this corona, they did the smart thing and canceled it. It's sad, but we'll have them next year. In November of 2021, there's going to be 4 council seats available. Any person interested would need to start collecting their petition coming this fall for the next primary. The 4 councilmen that are up for election or re-election are President of Council Mike Barth, Larry Ridgway, Ron Beverly, and Corey Wan. But I encourage people, any interest or know of any friends, I'd like to see more people involved and run. The village at this time, we have 94 full and part-time employees, which includes the firemen in the park. And I was kind of shocked that we had that many employees. And our budget is over $8.6 million. Our payroll is $1.2 million. And I just found that out a couple days ago. I thought, wow, that's a lot. We have a 1% income tax, which is the lowest in the whole area, any town. And we take in roughly $130,000 a year on that, and that's the one thing that's really starting to drop. We're down about 8%, which if we can finish out minus 8%, I would be happy with that. Projection was going to be 12%. So when you think about that, the income in our city, payroll and all that, is over $100 million. You take 1% of that, so that's a lot of money, $100 million. We do not tax retirees and Social Security, right? You know, and the one thing that's going to hurt us on this pandemic is we cannot collect tax on unemployment. That, I didn't realize that until about a month ago, and I thought, oh my, even the $600 that the government pays out a week, the state gets their money, the federal gets their money, but we get zero. So that's where it's going to hurt us. Again, I'm honored to serve as your mayor of Hicksville, and I feel our community has lots to offer our citizens and businesses. Now let me open it up to see what you think is our strengths. I always go to the positive side first. What's our strengths of Hicksville? Got lots. Yeah.
I think one of our good strengths is the beautification community. Because when you hit the outskirts of town, it's just gorgeous. Our
Yep.
flowers are rivaling Auburn. They're just beautiful.
I've had people come to me, several, not just a couple. Man, your downtown's beautiful. And I guess Auburn's real nice too, right? I
Sure it is.
don't go
But, I
there.
mean, we're also enlarging it with your guys' they did those scarecrow competition,
Yes.
or whatever that competition.
Yeah, so
I
that is a
think that
plus.
community is
First
really
impression, it's great. So anybody else? Yeah.
I think our community, the sense of community that our community has is unmatchable with other communities. I mean, it's such a great group that comes together when there's a need, and you don't see that in a lot of small towns. They're very supportive, especially of the school.
Yeah, the school's a great school, and they get a great card. I mean, it's in top of the state. And that helps when a business wants to come down factory. Okay, they look at the school, look at the park. So, okay, Turk?
You know, I've had a lot of people comment over the years about how busy our downtown is. They drive through here and you see cars during the workday, basically from one end to the other. I mean, it's changed a little bit with the COVID thing, but I've heard that comment many times. People have travel through Hicksville and haven't stopped in about how busy our downtown. And that tells people a lot too, because you don't have that in a lot of small towns.
And I can remember when the COVID really hit, I'd go to work, no cars downtown. That was eerie, but it's starting to come back, yes. It wasn't just our town, it's everywhere. I mean, you look at New York City, I mean, it was, okay, anybody else? Yes, Bob?
I think the hospital is a great
Yep.
asset for our community.
I can remember when I first came to town, I'd hear the phrase, well, the Band-Aid station. No, it's not. I mean, you can get knees, and I don't think they do hearts, but oh yeah. Top. Yes. Anybody else?
I also like our newspaper. I think our newspaper hits some fun things that makes us very relatable.
Yep.
When you read, you know, the Journal Gazette, it's so generic. It's just, you can't relate to the things going on in that community like you can with our Tribune. I think our Tribune is very family oriented, and that to me is important.
Yep.
I was going to say real quick, Mayor, not being from here originally, but feeling like this is home to me 30 years. People ask, how do you do it? You have a solution, you have a formula, you have people go out and track businesses. We really don't. We never have since I've been on council. We just have local people try to do local things, and some outside people that come in, you know. There's other people from other communities that come and set their businesses up here, and you know, our pharmacy being downtown, the banks downtown, you know, the beauty shops, the insurance companies, the tax, the restaurants. That brings people to your downtown community, where your other smaller towns, it's unique for, I kind of think think of us in Archbold about the same size. Archbold's a little bit bigger, but other smaller communities are struggling. Because they don't have all these smaller businesses and the banks and stuff downtown. So I think we've been very blessed by having the industry and the retail, kind of chemistry, and then all the service businesses and organizations kind of just mixed together around the community. So
The one thing I observed, a lot of places laid off. None of our factories closed. They cut back a little bit. But the income tax and the people stayed up there, so we're lucky. Okay, what about does anybody think the fiber optic that we have in town? That is huge. Even out in the country, a lot of towns, my daughter lives down in Cincinnati, they have fiber optic, but coming in the house is copper. It's not near as good, because ours is fiber optic all the way. So that's a big selling point for our town. And I think too, volunteers, unreal. Sure, sometimes you have trouble. If I have a committee that needs to be filled, I make a few phone calls, and I don't think I've had one person tell me no yet. And you gotta ask them, but it's huge. Okay, so much for the positive. Is there any negatives? What would you see like happen? Yes.
yeah.
That's true, but I think Sailors stepped up to the plate. He may not get anything exotic, but they got it. But you look, he's improved that. And Dollar General, we can get by. And I have made several phone calls just in the last 3 weeks, calling different grocery stores, say, hey, we're looking, if you ever think about coming to Hicksville, and they said, oh, okay. And one was Miller's Market out of Montpelier. They're stationed in, I think, Indiana somewhere. So I think I called 3 different chains just to get the word out there. Hopefully they'll say something to a colleague and say, hey, Hicksville's looking for one. But we're getting by. Myers, that's part of the problem. We're too close, 20 minutes away. But when I see Stan out with Sailors, I said, hey, thanks for stepping up, getting produce. You can get about anything. You got super meat there. So, yeah, I agree. It'd be nice. And we got spoiled when we had a large grocery store, but I've been working on it, and other people have too.
In Hirschberger's, the pie place, they stepped up
Yes,
with
that's right.
fresh fruits and
Boy, did they
vegetables.
have good pies out there. Those little bit of sugar in them.
Right down from the bank.
So, anybody else, anything negative we need to work on? I shouldn't say negative, but shortcomings.
I think you mentioned the housing stock, from new housing opportunities.
There's been a couple looking at we have a couple additions that have a street started, but so that could be developed. So, yeah, hopefully this land that we purchased from the Havers, HH&D, was that what it's called? Yeah. Those 54 lots are already plotted, the street started, the lots are 125 deep and 100 wide. So, and that's a medium income or medium priced housing. And that's what we need.
Can you say a little bit more about, you mentioned you were putting it out for bid. What did that mean?
The houses out there,
Yeah, so are you going to develop it, or
no, we're not going to develop it. That's not the
Are
plan.
you putting the land out for bid?
We'll put it on the market. We have to bid it by law. We can't just sell it to you, and you. We have to put it up for bid. We'll say you wanted a lot out there, we have to put it up for bid. That's state law.
I know, but you selling individual lots, or you selling the whole
Our
development?
plan is at this time to sell the whole addition, 54 lots. That's the plan.
Like a developer?
Yes.
I just talked to a developer today, as a matter of fact, that had some interest, so I said that, because you took me around town a year ago, and didn't know you had that, so it might be interesting to see what happens going forward.
My guess is a year from now, I'm hoping.
We'll get the plan finalized for the well field and everything. We actually have to take the new water line and go underneath the railroad tracks. And anytime you deal with CSX, nothing, they're a bad company, but they have their engineers and their attorneys and all, everything look at it. But it's a new good water source for Hicksville, that new well field out there. So we'd be definitely closer to doing that by then.
We have good water in this town, just ask the brewery uptown. It's the water that makes the good beer. And also makes good root beer, I love the root beer, but it's the water. So we're fortunate, we have wells and not a reservoir, get it from a creek. So, any other, yes, Bob?
1959, I lived in Sherwood. Worked for a little company out of a little gas station. And because of Hicksville having a industry group that would help any industry that would come to Hicksville, DOTCO was talked into coming to Hicksville. And so we moved to Hicksville in 1960.
Yep.
And I think it's one of the greatest helps for Hicksville was the industrial hunt and helping industry Hicksville.
October was all part of that original group, bringing
Yep.
new businesses to town.
It's called the Hicksville Development Corporation, right? And they still meet. I just joined 6 months, or about 3 months ago. So, we got a lot going on in this town. Any other questions? We talked about positives and negatives, or any other questions in general you would like? If I can't answer them, you can.
What's the projected date of the viaduct project?
They're not there half the time, so, yeah. We're fortunate it's not very far. I mean, it could go 2 or 3 miles out. They didn't give us a date, but I'm guessing a month. Yeah, that's my guess.
And they're not-
Kent has talked to them, and
And I don't think they're making it any higher for semis to
No.
go through it. It's the same height.
No.
Why, I have no idea. That bridge is hit so often with trucks and semis and equipment.
Yeah.
To me, that's a definite liability for them and for the truck drivers and everything. It's dangerous. And for them, but their project.
we're lucky we have viaducts.
Yeah.
You go to Edgerton or Butler, oh my goodness.
We have 2 EMS, 2 fire, police have to be positioned on different sides of the road. Yeah,
So,
they spend a lot more money.
Even from the standpoint that people don't have to have those whistles blowing all night long because they're required by law to blow the whistle. Every crossing is like,
Yep,
every
they don't
crossing
care.
those viaducts are beneficial in some ways.
yeah.
They still blow their whistles occasionally, like this.
They do some, if they got signal and stuff they have to do, but they don't have the whistle regulate, or the crossing regulation.
How much time do I have, Mike? Well, okay. Any other questions? My office is always open. I'm usually there at 9 in the morning till at least 11. Just today I have a meeting at 4, but anytime, just call me. Again, it's a privilege to be your mayor. I enjoy it. Even with this COVID-19, I truly enjoy it. Been a few days like, oh my goodness, what am I getting into? But I truly love the job, so thank you. I want to close in scripture, one of my favorites. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So, thank you.